Hey everyone, wicked Sunday market breakdown. So yeah, last week I had a pretty good week. Last week I smashed it actually. I pretty much ended the week with, let me just double check that. Ended the week with roughly 14.95%. Um, Once again, it was a little bit of an over trading week again. I had 13 trades. So, it's one of those ones where still working on it. 6 wins, 3 losses, 4 break evens. I couldn't really say there was a missed trade because, when I always buy the charts, if I saw something, I would have taken it if it was within my plan and so forth. I would say that maybe within those 13, there was 1 or 2 trades that probably I could have maybe just waited a little bit more on. For example, GA. But yeah, overall, it was a pretty good week. It was really exciting last week, smashed it extremely well. Coming off the bat off December the 1st and 2nd, where I made 2.8% as well. And then, additionally now I've got 14.95. So, I'm above 15% for the start of the month. Usually the beginning of the months are pretty good. So yeah, so essentially moving into next week, it was one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of take on board majority of Mark's watch list and wildcards. Obviously, we trade the same way. We just take trades differently depending on our plan, and obviously we just let our edge play out. So, obviously this might potentially be able to help me. So I'll be able to compare it to everything Mark's doing next week as well, going back to basics, just to kind of you know make sure I'm not deviating from anything and I'm just kind of following it the right way. So that'll be really good because if I'm taking more trades than he isn't, then I can kind of see where I can actually work on myself a little bit more. So kind of just jumping straight into it. Have the DXY. So yeah, the DXY. So yeah, as we've been looking at for a couple of weeks, we have the 123 larger structure in here. We did happen to commit. We had the inflection point over there. Don't really need to focus on that anymore because we've cleared that. Going down to the daily, we can kind of see on the daily as well that we're kind of in this running channel. And I'm seeing this quite a lot across the board. I think everyone has really. And we're having this final squeeze, so it's no surprise that we will see similar price action on, gold, on Euro USD and US related pairs, for example, USD Yen. So what I'm looking for is just this to correct up, complete the 123, perhaps maybe just push up a little bit higher, maybe even tap into this. Maybe this kind of gets evolved a little bit. Who knows? This trend lines is not really the most significant. It's just more so this pattern. So I'm using this trend line as a reference point as well, and I'm using the inflection point more so. So I just want to evaluate price when it gets there, push down, and then I'll be seeing the similar price action on Euro USD and US related pairs I'm looking at. So that's the next one I've got is Euro USD. So this is my watch list. So Euro USD is quite simple. We are in that continuation phase to the high now. We've had that running channel. We've pushed up. We've created another sort of squeezing running channel. Um, and yeah, it's really interesting that patterns just continue to repeat themselves, and it would be no surprise if we saw a smaller one in here as well. But what I'm going to be looking at now is price to essentially, we've had this sort of middle 1, 2, 3 correction. Could we see price drop off in line with the DXY pushing up? As the DXY pushes up, this one pushes down. We tap into either override 1 or 2. Looking over here, override 1, or we even tap into override 2 would be this sort of zone up here somewhere. It could even extend up here. That's always a possibility. But looking at that and then see how price develops, and then when we get that push up from one of these significant points that I'm looking at, I'll be looking for that flag and then I'll be entering long, and that's basically my gameplay for that. I will be weary of this inflection point here because we can hit that stall, maybe create something a little bit and then go, but that's not where I'll be getting out of the market. I'll be looking at more so this point here as well. But in my eyes, we're still essentially in that golden run. So if we're so early in the move, we may not even come back down here for a very long time. We might even be all the way up here. So that's why positioning yourself, I think, is extremely smart on pairs like Euro USD at the moment. It's just, at times like this, it gets corrective, but definitely eyes on the DXY. So next one is going to be GBP Aussie. So GBP Aussie was one I was looking at really closely last week. I really do think structure is really nice on this particular pair. So we've got this override point here, which was pretty much the push down. We pulled up here and pulled back down. We came back over there and we significantly pushed off. However, when we did push away, we pushed off with a correction. Now, what I do like about this is that if we look on the 4 hour, we can see that when we pushed back up, we've pushed back up with structure, so it's corrective. And the nice thing about it is that because we have this structured approach, this gives me the feeling that if I zoom out now, we actually could see this correction into correction to create larger flag. So this can impulse down and go back up, but well, it's probable it will do that because it's in line with the higher time frame. But what I do like about it is this is going to be the impulsive phase now. So getting positioned up here would be very, very beneficial, especially if we break this impulsively. We activate the 90% rule, we tap into the override, then we extend down to this sort of inflection point down here. We push back up with conviction, and then we get long for the greater move. So it's definitely one that requires a high level of patience to be getting into the bigger move. But I think moving into next year, these will really set up your quarter. So this is something that I'm really excited about. So I'm going to be looking at this very carefully, waiting for that price to push, and the next one I'm looking at is Euro Yen. So Euro Yen is very similar to Swiss Yen in my opinion. I'm just basically looking at to tap into this sort of floor. So we've got this override zone here. We've got a small inflection point under it, but we do have that little double bottom there. So that's kind of the point I'm just kind of keeping my eye on. When price does whatever it needs to do, if it just gravitates back down, pushes back into that, set an alert, pushes back up, creates an entry. If you miss that, well, I'll look for the next flag. The next flag is more probable. The AFT one will be a little bit of a tricky one because we can kind of tap off the third touch, push up, and then push back down and then push back up. So there's a few things that could be in mind. However, we'll definitely have to evaluate it very carefully once we get there. Hopefully we push down, we break this, and then we push up with conviction, and then we create a flag over here before we go. So something a little bit more significant would be interesting. But yeah, just definitely requires a high level of patience as well, because this can correct, and then maybe by Tuesday we just drop off. So it could be one to just definitely wait for, but that's one I'm going to be looking at very. And the next one I'm going to be looking at is CAD Yen. Now, CAD Yen is definitely a favorite for sure. So, looking at it on the higher time frame from the weekly, we've been in this strong conviction. We've had high time frame 1, 2, 3. Not the easiest to make it out, but point of sale, second touch, third touch. We had a strong push away, which is what we love to see, and then followed by a small correction. Very clean, very structured. Well, not very structured, but very nice. We've had a push down, and now it's no surprise that we're creating something a little bit larger, which is taking a little bit longer. However, if I look at the size of this compared to, the size of the next flag, this is roughly around about 12 days, and then this one's roughly around about 12 days too. So, it's not really something that I'm basing my trade upon that, but this could definitely shape up this week. So that's one of the reasons why I've put it on. So we've had that middle section now where it's kind of just corrective. It's tapped into sort of this zone here. Doesn't have to tap into the low yet. And it's giving a little bit of an expanding feel to it. So I haven't crossed off the board the 1, 2, 3, but the override is definitely one I'm going to be eyeing up. This can turn into a little bit of more of a corrective move because we do have some sort of inflection points on the way. So I wouldn't get caught up with price rejecting off quite aggressively or something here and then kind of correcting. I wouldn't even get caught into that at all. I'll be more aware of waiting for the override section over here and then the potential of the push above just to tap into maybe one of these little bits here, but not worried about that. More so the 1, 2, 3 push down flag. So there's 2, 3 ways I'll be looking at this, but more so it's just the override or the 1, 2, 3, and then looking for the low. And then if I miss it, maybe there'll be something a little bit larger in here, or a smaller flag, and then just kind of go in. So overall, I think the opportunity will become very apparent when it does shape up, and there's no reason to be looking at any trades in here. Just wait for this or for the push up, push back down. But either way, my entry will be in here in this area here. So knowing that there'll be a lot of orders shaping up around about here as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But it would be no surprise if price did something like this and then just came out, took everyone out of the market and then went down. So just kind of trying to play a bit of the psychology side of things, but keeping it basic, push down on a flag or push back up, taps into a 1, 2, 3 push down on a flag, definitely has. Okay, amazing. And the next one I've got is Euro Aussie. I like Euro Aussie quite a lot because they've definitely had this sort of well, if I go to the higher time frame, what we've had is we've had this larger structure that we were looking at for quite a while. And the nice thing about it is we've basically broken out of that, and we've now started creating this correction up here. Can this sell off? There's a possibility that it can, but I'm more so interested to see this go long now because we've created these like this sort of squeeze, this push up, this aggressive push down, push back up, and then we're out for the high over here. Do I want to get short? Yeah, absolutely. Because as we approach here, we'll get aggressive with management, but if we just suddenly drop off, then it just changes everything. So I don't want to be kind of, just not taking a position here now because there's more than enough room to manage it. Way more than enough management. So if I just take in the position here, let's say I take a reduced risk and I slap it in there for around about 18. Take it to the low, that's 12%. Way more to enough to manage it. Even to the low here, there's more than 1%, which I think I'd probably be um, more aggressive as we approach that low, just in case we do correct even further. But yeah, as we break this, then management would definitely be on break even and so forth. And then yeah, just looking at that, and then if it does continue, on the high time frame, this can go off a little bit further than we expect. So we could even find ourselves down here and then creating something a little bit more complicated. But like I said, that's just EA, just going to be looking for that basic 1, 2, 3 within here. And then once I have that, I'll be looking for that push down and flag, or perhaps maybe I might entertain a flag, depending if we get a 1, 2, 2 touches up here, and then we get a third touch up here, kind of creating a 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that I would entertain a risk entry depending on how structure has got there. But once again, I'll have to wait and see. It's not really um, the best sort of flag for me to look for a risk entry. I'll be honest with you. I'll probably be looking for that AFT sort of push down flag, sort of let's go for the impulsive leg now. So we'll see how it goes. Could be a mistrade as well. We'll just have to wait and see. So that's and the last one I've got on my watch list is New Zealand yen. Now, New Zealand yen's in a very good area on the higher time frame. But it's been quite corrective recently over the past few weeks since April. So it would be no surprise if we did kind of just create structure here and just kind of push down before we even go up continuing. It's very possible that we can even just keep going up higher. That's something that I'm kind of very weary of because we have a 1, 2, 3, which I'm not kind of fixated on that, but we have this override. We've approached the override with structure. We have come in very correctively. There has been impulse correction, but most of all, it's corrective. We've approached this now with a 1, 2, 3. Do we just push up? Do we push all the way up here, tap into 1, 2, 3, then sell off? Possible. Do we tap into override and push down and sell off? Possible. So I'm looking at these two trades, more so just looking for the push down flag. AFT probably won't opt in for it. I'll be honest with you. It's one that I think I'll look for that clear push down on the flag. But if we do get a significant push up, push down, and this becomes like a decent 15-minute flag, and then there's AFT entry in there for sure. But a 5-minute flag, I don't think I'll entertain here just because of how bullish this is at the moment. Even though we've had this corrective approach and then this final bull leg, we can actually just sell off from here as well. So I'm aware of that. If we do just sell off significantly, create a flag down here and then keep going, I'll get involved in that flag. But that's it really for this pair. It's quite simple and easy. New Zealand yen, I think awesome. And now going on to the wild cards. So for my wild cards, I've got Euro GBP. Euro GBP is looking very nice. On the daily, we can see that we've tapped into this very, very high value area because, we can see that significantly. We came here, we tapped in, we pushed away aggressively, came in again, pushed away aggressively, came in again, pushed away aggressively, came in again. We are testing this a lot, but because of this sort of ending corrective structure here, I truly believe that there's a high possibility that if we are going to push away aggressively, we are going to take people out of the market first and do it. And I think that's what was happening here. So looking at price over here, we can see that we correctively squeezed up and now we're aggressively pushing down, taking out orders. If we tap into this, even push a bit lower and push back up and have a flag, I'll be looking to get involved in that because that's a lot more higher probability. If the price just continues to drop off and we create a flag down here, then I'll take a message from the market and look to go short. There is a lot of news coming out this week as well, so have to be very, very on the ball with that. But I think this could create the volatility to maybe give us that push higher that we need. So that's one thing I'll be looking at. I think Euro GBP is going to be a solid pair for next week. It's going to be on very close watch, so keep it. Next one I've got is GBP USD. GBP USD is pretty much just like Euro GBP, just opposite way. So we've basically approached this quite correctively. Impulse correction, impulse correction. There was this little bit of a running channel sort of feel to it, but it kind of looks like this could turn into an expanding. So it could get a bit complicated, but there's more than enough room to manage it, which I like. So as you can see on the higher time frame, we have this override inflection point. We had this like sort of double top scoop, and then we kind of pushed above, sold off, but we sold off in terms of like very correctively. And then by the time this happened, it's kind of given off that sort of expanding sort of feel to it. We have an override section down here, which would be the area that I'd be looking to go long, just because looking at the weekly, it's very, very aggressively bullish. Same in line with a lot of GBP pairs. So essentially, we're in that golden run area. I'm looking for that to tap into that override zone for me to go long. But before we get there, we might actually be able to take a very aggressive short. So what I'm looking at now is, because we're in line with the higher time frame, what we might see is this corrects up, taps into this override, pushes down with a little bit of aggression, impulse, correction, continuation, or we even push up even further, tapping into that higher time frame override that we were looking at to the left, the inflection point, taps in there, pushes down, creates a flag and goes, and then makes a lot of people think, as prices down here somewhere, that we're going to be selling off aggressively. So by the time we've had that strong impulse, a lot of people are going to be thinking to go short. Whereas when we're actually seeing it in hindsight, we might actually see this go push down, push back up, create a flag and go up long, catching everyone on the wrong side. So it's a lot of thinking behind that, but it's definitely a possibility. There's definitely this expanding field possibility to it. And if we do create that and we do push back up here before we sell off, then at least we're positioning ourselves in the right areas. So that's the way I'm looking at it for GBP USD. And yeah. And the next one I've got is GBP New Zealand dollar. So GBP New Zealand dollar has been selling off pretty aggressively actually quite recently. So we did have this very strong corrective sort of squeeze, and we sold off aggressively and tapped into here. Now, looking at it very closely, we didn't actually push below it. We just kind of tapped into it. So that could be a little sign that we might push low before we go high. But even so, I'm looking for a significant impulsive push up, create continuation, create a flag to form continuation. So that's pretty much all I'm looking for. If it goes from here, goes from down there, goes from down there, doesn't matter. I'm looking for a significant push up and a flag. That's all I'm looking for this week on this pair. If I don't get that, then I'm not going to be getting in the market. If we do get a significant drop off and then we're down here, then it would be no surprise if we did start creating some sort of corrective sort of squeeze. So by the time I get into that, it'll probably be late week. So if we do get a solid push down, I'll probably be still waiting for it to either push straight back up or go. But I would need to see something very significant on the daily to kind of indicate that. But because we've had this strong corrective squeeze, I wouldn't be surprised if we do kind of push back up to this point before we do sell off, or if we even make it all the way back up here, because that would be more in line for the high time frame sell. So looking at this move here and then looking at it from that inflection point over here, that would kind of bring us down here, which would be no surprise. But even from there, from the bottom of this pattern here, probably when we have that play out as a full pattern, it kind of brings us to that low there. So positioning ourselves in this area of the market definitely means we'll be in the market for weeks. We could be in this market until some point in February. But like I said, a lot of these pairs can actually position you so well for Q1 that getting involved now, you will know that it's more beneficial for you to hold this and be somewhat lenient and not so aggressive in certain areas, because that can definitely fold over your portfolio a couple times. So interested to see how that plays out. The next one I've got is USD yen. Now this is one of my favorites this week for sure. So looking at this here, in line with the DXY, and we looked at Euro USD as well. DXY is looking a little bit bullish. It's looking a little bit more bullish than what UJ is projecting here. Hence the reason why I think we could tap into this section over here. But there is the possibility of the 1, 2, 3 we stall and then we sell off. So that's one thing I'm going to be looking at as well. UJ's definitely got massive potential. Honestly, I can't wait to actually see how this one plays out. But we have that nice little middle section here, and I think with that middle section in place, we can definitely be getting involved on the better side of the market right now. So I'll wait for that to shape up, and then we'll see how we go. So yeah, UJ, really simple. Looking for a short play from either point 1, point 2, and then 2. And I've got Swiss yen here. Swiss yen is, like I said, very similar to EJ. I'm basically looking for it to kind of floor. I want to see it sell off, kind of tap into a significant area, and then get a strong push up and a flag. I fear that I might miss this trade. I'm not too sure. I think after I watch Mark's Sunday market breakdown, I'll kind of see what his thoughts are on it as well and see how. But I think, override wise, I'll probably be looking at this area here, and I'll kind of just see how it shapes up. But the reason why I did tag on that one is because, again, then gives me that feel of that sort of bullish running channel. So push down, pushes up, correctively comes back down late in the week, and then we tap into this area here. Maybe we kind of go into something like this, and then we push up, and then it gives us this to go long. Who knows? We'll see. But that's basically how I'm looking at it. So Swiss yen is one on the side. I'm not too sure about it right now, but who knows? It could be my most profitable trade this week. Definitely just got to stay sharp with it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for you for Swiss yen. Higher time frame, you can see that we've had that lower time frame override, that strong push away. We're looking at that correction for the continuation to keep going up higher to the high value area, even maybe so above. And last but not least, silver. Now, silver's one I opted in for because I had it on watch a couple weeks ago. Then I took it off, and then I put it back on, and then took it off. And yeah, it was just one where I think there's been so much opportunity on this pair. Honestly, it's phenomenal. Like silver's been structurally really nice and very rewarding. There's been some sort of unfortunate sort of this could have sold off, but we kind of pulled back, and now it makes sense. We're pulling back to get to something significant. I think there's a strong possibility we can actually even come back up here. We can scoop all the way back up here. So I'm being aware of that as a possibility as well. But right now we're meeting with a weekly inflection point. Just an inflection point, nothing else more than an inflection point right now. But the nice thing about this is how we've actually got there. So if we do look at it and get a little bit more granular, we did have some structure here. And then if I do take it in from the most recent, we can say that there was a 1, 2, 3 with the M star sort of push above, and then we sold off, creating the daily evening star, but then we filled that back up. So now that we're filling this area, taking out all those entries, are we now going to have the actual proper run where we just commit? There's also that expanding field to it as well, which I'm seeing across a few pairs, but I'm not too concerned about that. This is kind of my line in the sand anyway. So if we break this with conviction, then we might be in for the really good run. This can always get a little bit more evolved. I'll be aware of something like this as well, where could get a little bit more complex over time, but I think at the moment this is looking really nice. And what I do like about this is there's context to it as well, and when you can actually see it in that light, it's a little bit more nicer. So yeah, essentially strong push down and a flag. Perhaps maybe the impulse will be a little bit more than I've drawn it. It could be something like this, could be equal to creating this sort of head and shoulders sort of look to it. Like I said, I'm not fixated on the head and shoulders here. I'm more so interested to just see a push down on the flag. If there is an AFT entry, would I take it? Possibly not. If it shapes up like this, then yes, because it came off a very significant, nice push. Here we are seeing a decent start to a push, but I would like to see some more commitment before I get involved. I think something of this size is definitely reasonable because that would put me down here, and then I could put my stop above here. Just see how it shapes up, really. Yeah, like I said, it's looking really good. So that's silver basically for me. Silver has been very bullish though, but at the moment I'm not convinced that I'm going to go long on this here. I think if I was to go long, it would have to be somewhere up here, significant correction, and then kind of just go with that continuation to this high and then look for the short again. But at the moment, it's looking really nice. Honestly, there's good context. It looks like we could get a very nice short play, and then if we do start making it all the way back down to these lows, in terms of risk reward, it's definitely very, very valuable and on the table. So I'll wait and see how that plays out, but I'm quite excited for this pair as well. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. So that's basically it for my Sunday market breakdown. I don't really have anything else that I'm looking at. There was two pairs that I think are not ready till next week. GBP yen, so I kind of left it off. It looks like we're creating this sort of middle sort of corrective, so correction into correction, push down flag, very similar to Swiss yen EJ sort of situation, but I just filtered it out because it's not really something I'll be looking for. That push up, third touch, push down on the flag, something like that. GBP CAD as well. There wasn't really enough data there for me. I'll be honest with you. There's so many inflection points. We're moving up so aggressively. I don't really want to be looking for a short here at any point now. Over here was definitely an area where I could have maybe looked for flags, but yeah, if I wanted to get involved in GBP CAD, I'd look for a flag and then go up higher at this point. The ones that I kind of almost made it on were Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD, I think, is in a very good area. It's just because of the weekly time frame being so aggressive, I've just opted not to have it. But if I was to take it, I'd be looking for significant push down, probably more than I've drawn. Significant push down, flag continuation. Could be creating something a little bit more complex. Not too sure, but could create head and shoulders. There's a lot of things on the table for this one, so I think give it some time to materialize. It'll be good. USD CAD, I think USD CAD had massive potential, and myself, I was looking at it over here. Unfortunately, it just didn't commit. Sold, pushed up quite heavily. Now it's looking like it's creating something larger. This can become more of an expanding. It can just continue. It can get a little bit more complex and sit here for a week, maybe even 2 weeks. So for those reasons, I don't really want to have this one on watch at the moment, because when the structure forms like over here, that's really nice. Like, there wasn't really any good trade in here at the moment, but there has been very, very financially good trades on USD CAD previously. So just wait for structure, in my opinion. New Zealand CAD. New Zealand CAD, the same situation as a few of the other pairs, just waiting for it to tap into inflection point, but it's just so bullish at the moment. I don't know if I want to be looking for a short. Probably looking for a long is good, but I think now it's just kind of, I think it's not late in the run, to be honest. It's still very early in the run, but honestly, that bull run has been insane. Honestly, if positioning yourself in here would have just been phenomenal, would have been very, very good. But that if this was to come down, I'd be looking for it to maybe something significant, come all the way back down here, taps into this, pushes back up. But I'm looking for something larger when this is not presenting larger flags. So it could be very probable that we create something smaller. It's just as the run keeps going so aggressive, pullbacks make more sense. But we're moving to this inflection point for sure. So push up, push down, and a flag is what I'd be looking for, really and truly. And then maybe we might see a longer sell run before we go up. So that's how I look, but it'll probably be corrective if we're going in continuation to the high. GBP Swiss. Possible for that bull run. I think it's going to be a very slow corrective move. This could be a very impulsive push down though. So for that reason, it was kind of like 50-50 neutral. There's this possibility that we create that 1, 2, 3. This becomes larger. We evolve this one, and then we see this as it pushes back up. There's a possibility that we can push back down to this low and then go, or we can create something here and then push up. So I'm not really interested to get involved in GBP Swiss. I think this area here is definitely value. When we get to that point, we can evaluate. So if I was to have it, it wouldn't be on this week. It would be next. Aussie yen. Aussie yen was just pretty much looking for that push up, push down, and a flag. It's a shame because last week I was looking at a really nice flag for a 1, 2, 3 in here. We got the commitment, and I even got in on the sell, and then I was taken out probably somewhere around about here for a small percentage profit. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's now evolved, and it looks like it's going in for that running channel up. So with that in mind, and a lot of Aussie pairs going bullish, this could definitely tap into that override. So this is kind of an area that I would look at, but I'm not bothered about. I'm more so interested in that override up there. So this can just push all the way up here before it comes down and fills that gap. So going to leave Aussie yen off the table. Aussie US dollar, same situation, looking for more, just like GP Swiss, just wanted to go push up, push down, create a flag, and let's go. So at the moment, going to be very patient with that, but yeah, there's a lot of things going on, and this can evolve and become a running channel as well. So a lot of these are happening, and because it's so early in the run, these big golden runs, it only makes sense naturally when we have these larger flags that they are going to be things like bear flags, running channels, and continuation patterns to continuation patterns essentially. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind. And Aussie Swiss, I do like Aussie Swiss a lot as well, actually, to be honest. So it's a shame that I couldn't really put it on because I had so much already. But perhaps maybe it's one for well, once it shapes up, it's going to be phenomenal, honestly. Right now, it's just very corrective. It tends to be corrective pair in these stages, but when it commits, it commits. Just going to wait for it to kind of get up here. I think it's going to correctively get there. Depending on the approach, I'll then evaluate, but be looking at the short to this low, and then as we can see, there's nothing majorly significant to the left, so we could actually just start pushing down even more aggressively. So that's what I'm going to be waiting for. Tap into sort of one of these override inflection points and then see how it sells. Would I have loved to have this on watch? Yeah, probably. I mean, if you've got it on watch, good luck with it, because that override could come very quickly, tap in, push down flag, and you're in for a very good run. Inflection point just above it, so we could M star. Sorry, we could tap into that and then M star ever so much to the 1, 2, 3, and then sell off and not come into that override thinking that's a near miss or we're going to be coming there before we take a trade. There's a lot of ways to think about it, but honestly, there's so much potential for it. So that's basically it. And then I think indices, I wasn't really fussed about indices, kept it so simple. If we tap into that, then I'll look to go long. Just we've kind of come in with a 1, 2, 3 to this override. We've pushed down, we've created a flag. This could be a massive run for the short. There's a lot of stuff, but I think because of what I'm currently looking at, I don't know if I want to be getting in this now. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, like you got 1, 2, 3, you got a push down, you got a flag. There's so much potential. Germany 30 as well. You got corrective squeeze down, taps into this override, pushes out a little bit, goes up. Honestly, indices are looking phenomenal at the moment. You've got this override here. I do like the commodities as well. Gold, I think gold's definitely got that bullish momentum to it. We had that running channel there as well. We've got palladium, which I think palladium's looking very nice. Going to get a push up, push down, and a flag. 1, 2, 3. Continuation with the higher time frame. Natural gas is phenomenal. We tapped into the override. We pushed up. And with that push up, it's then it's just unfortunate because my broker doesn't offer platinum or natural gas, so I couldn't take any of these. But just observing them 1, 2, 3, strong push up. Now you're looking for a correction for continuation to go up high, and that could be a very, very good play for a long term, even up here somewhere. So that's nice. Really happy for crude oil. I didn't want to buy it, unfortunately. Like I saw a lot of opportunities for buying on this, and I was actually looking at trades in here as well, and I just didn't buy it because I didn't really want to support oil prices going up, so I kind of just left that one out. But yeah, that's kind of it now. Cryptos, don't really look at them, but still looking at sort of, well, yeah, don't know, to be honest. That's broken, pushed down. I think if I was to be looking at cryptos, yeah, I think it looks like it could eventually become, I don't know, to be honest, I don't analyze it enough. I think I'll definitely be looking at price coming down here before we go up. I think this is where if even if it was to go here and keep going low down here, I'd position myself around about this like 13,000 to round about anywhere in here, to be honest. This is like bargain of a price. I think right now 17,000 as well is a little bit expensive, but I think anywhere in here is a solid area to be getting in for a buy. Which actually says a lot. We can see so much happening over the course of 2023, especially if like things like S&P 500 or US 30 or all of these indices, like, because they look like they're going to sell off aggressively, which would make sense. And then once it sells off and then kind of comes in down here, then we're in for that larger bull run. We've kind of created that bull flag. So if that's in line with these cryptos, that will be very interesting to see if we essentially just tap into that and then we push up. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to see and see how that goes. But overall, I'm quite happy. I think cryptos are looking good. I think commodities are looking phenomenal. Indices are looking even better. Currencies are looking sick. Uh, so much. But anyway, this is my watch list wildcards for next week. Have a good weekend, and AFT phase 2 tomorrow at 12 o'clock on the 12th of the 12th.